I am Dr.Ashwin Dobariya welcomes you to Programming in C video series. In this video we will discuss the another important loop in C program, that is while loop. As you know that while loop is also one of the loop of entry control loop category. In previous video we have discussed these two category, entry control loop and exit control loop. So entry control loop, one loop, that is a for loop that we discussed in previous video. In this video we will discuss about the another entry control loop, that is while loop. Even we will also discuss which are the different way to write the while loop in a program. So here we will discuss three different example which you can use in your C programs. So let's start with the concept of while loop. So while loop is also known as a entry control loop. The reason is because while loop execute its block even if the condition becomes true. It means at the entry level it check the condition. It is similar like a for loop, right? So while loop first check the conditions, and if the condition becomes true, then and then it will execute its block. That's why it is known as a entry control loop. And in C language, if you want to write a while loop, then the syntax of while loop is in the previous video we have discussed that whenever you talk about the concept of loop, then we have to also think about one counter variables. So counter variable is generally used to count the number of iteration, right? So first in a syntax, first we have to initialize the counter variable. So from which number you want to start your counting, whether it is from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 10, or you want to start counting in a reverse order. Reverse order means 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3 up to 1, right? So according to your requirement, as per the syntax, first we have to initialize the counter variable. After that, once we initialize the counter variable, then we have to check the condition. We have to check the counter, whether this counter is reached up to the specific value, right? If condition becomes true, then and then it will execute the body of the while loop. And once we execute the loop body, then we have to update the counter variable. Update means either we have to increment the counter or decrement of the counter. That is very similar concept of the for loop. Even if we compare this while loop with the for loop, then for loop is also having a initialization of counter part, then test condition and increment decrement. So only the way of writing the loop, it is a little bit different. So how we can draw the flow chart? So this is the starting point. Then first in starting point we will initialize the counter. Then here we will mention the conditions which will check the counter variable. If condition becomes true, then execute the body of the loop. And then again you increment the counter or decrement, and again check the condition. If it is true, execute block, again you check the condition. In that way the process will continue till the condition become false, and once it becomes false, the control transfer outside the for loop. It means the control transfers outside this not a for loop but while loop. So this is the overall the syntax of the while loop. Now let's discuss a few example. Now this is again the same example to display the multiplication table as per the input number. So here we require one counter variable, that is I, and it is a number, that's why we have declared as an integer, and one n variable that will take as an input in this program. So enter any number, and suppose if I input 5, then 5 will be stored into the variable n, and it will display the multiplication table of the 5 numbers. So here one thing is, if we want to write a while, then here we want to start the counting from 1. So here counter variable is initialized with the 1 value, and then we will check while I is less than or equal to 10. So this is the starting counting value, and the second one is the ending. So here we start from 1. It means 1 is less than 10, 2 is also less than 10, 3 is also less than 10, 4 is also. In that way up to the 10, because 10 is also less than or equal to 10. So this loop will continue up to 10 times. But when I becomes 11, then this condition become false, and if this condition become false, then control transfer outside the while loop. So first time I is equal to 1, So the condition becomes true, and this display this format. So first value, it's our input number n, so percentage d is there. Second value 1 2 3 4 5, that value we can get from our counter variable, then this percentage d for counter variable, and this is the multiplication answer. So that will multiply by number multiply by I. So, and star and equal to we have to display as it is. So it display as it is over here. And once first time loop it execute, then I plus plus means I become 2, second time I become 3, third 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So in that way this while loop executes 10 times. And we can also draw the flow charts the similar like start. Then initially first we initialize two variable, one is the counter variable 1 and number is 0. Then we will take a input and in using a cross rectangle. After that we will check the conditions I less than or equal to 10, because our counting start from 1 and we have to reach up to the 10, up to the greatest values. That's why here the logical the relational operator is used as a less than or equal to, and if condition becomes true, then it display the outputs, and we will increment one value in the counter variable. Again it will check the condition, again it will execute. So this process will perform up to the 10 times. Once this condition become false, then it moves to the stop, right? So this is one way where you can mention the initial value in counter variable and you can move to the higher value. Suppose I want to execute this is a 10 or 100 times, then you mention 100 over here, right? So this is one way, and let's we just do the practicals over here, how this while loop is different from this for loop. So we know that in for loop the initialization is over here, right? If you want to display first 10 number, for example, then we can write the for loop like this. Starting value is I is equal to 1, I less than 10, I plus plus. If I execute this program, then it gives, just a minute, yeah, this semicolon is missing here. In for loop we have to separate all the parts using semicolon. So 1 to 10. Now see, if I want to display the square of first to 10 number, then we have to simply multiply I 2 times, then it will display, see, the square of first 10 number. So the same program how we can write using while. So we know that while required initialization first, right? So first of all I am just keeping this for loop in a comment. And see, first we have to do the initialization. So we can generally do the initialization at the time of declaration. So in while loop, first we have to initialize the counter variable. Then how many times we want to execute this loop? For example, 10 times. Then we have to simply mention I less than or equal to 10. After that, what you want to do? So we want to print or we want to print that number only. Then we can mention I. After the printing, then we have to increment this counter variable. See, if you forget to mention increment, then this loop becomes infinite. It will never stop it, right? So here actually in for loop all three steps are mentioned in one statement. But in a while loop, initialization is before that, then condition is always written with the while, and the increment or decrement is generally mentioned in the block of while. That is the difference, and both are, you can say, entry control, because first it will check the condition. If condition becomes true, then and then it execute. If I run this program, it display 1 to 10. But suppose if I initialize like this 15, right? So my counter value variable is initialized 15. Now first time this condition become false, like 15 less than 10, no, condition become false. Then if I run this program, it will not display any outputs. So that's why while is known as a entry, because at the time of entry it will check the condition, and if condition becomes true, then and then it will execute the block. So this is one way to write the while loop, and generally we will write the while loop in that format. Initialize the counter variable before while, then mention the condition with the while, and increment and decrement within the block of while. Now let's see how we can write the while loop in other way. And as we already discussed the comparison between while and do while, so here the declaration is similar, but in while loop we have to declare the variable with the initialization, but here in for loop the initialization of counter generally we mention in the for statement, but here initialization is before the while. Then condition is always mentioned with the while, and here this condition is mentioned as a second part of for loop, and the increment or decrement generally mentioned within the block, but here in for loop the increment or decrement statement mentioned in the for statement. So this is the comparison. This is even whatever program you can write using for loop, the same program you can write using while loop, and vice versa, right? So this is the comparison, and let's see the second example of while loop, and this is the factorial loop. Factorial value. So we know that what is factorial. So if I want to calculate the factorial of 5 value, it means we have to multiply all the numbers starting from 5, 4, 3, 2 and up to 1. It means here we have to calculate the multiplication starting from the higher value up to the 1. So how we can mention that? So here we require n is a variable, which is the number of that number we want to calculate the factorial. And one fact that this program I have already explained in the practical videos with the logic developments and all step by step. So I request to all of you that please visit the practical videos. The link is also mentioned in the description of this video. So you can directly redirect on that videos, and you verify in detail how the internal execute this factorial. So here suppose if I input 5, then I want to move from higher value to lower value. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and up to 1 I want to move execute this. So that's why the second way of writing while loop is we can mention starting counter as a higher value, and when we mention a starting counter as a higher value, then at the other side we have to mention the smaller value, and in that case we can use only the greater than relational operator. Then the logic is f is equal to f multiplied by n, and here we are moving from higher value to lower value. That's why the counter variable is decrement, and it gives this. So this is the second way or second method to write the for loop. Now the third method is very interesting. Even we can write the while loop in that way also. While and the 1. Here instead of 1 you can mention any number like a 50, 40, 100, 1000, whatever. The meaning is that if you mention any digit other than 0, right, if you mention any number other than 0, it means this condition becomes true. And here if you write while of 1, it means this loop becomes infinite. Infinite means it will never stop, but here we have to make one condition which will stop the execution of this while loop, otherwise it will never stop it. So this is the program which will inputs a number, which will input the number and it will calculate the sum of all number. So suppose if I input 5, it will store in a 5, then it will verify 5 is equal to 0, no, then 5 will add in the so here the another variable is s is equal to 0, so which will add that number. Now second time it asks the another number. Now see, while 1 means what, here we have not taken any counter variable, because counter variable generally used when you want to count the iteration up to number of times, but here this is a, you can say it is unlimited, it's a infinite you can say. So when this loop will stop, so here if the input number is 0, if input number is 0, then this condition becomes true and it execute break, and when the compiler read the break, then control directly transfer outside the while loop. So this kind of loop generally we used whenever you are writing a menu driven program. Now what do you mean by menu driven? So suppose menu like insert, update, delete, each and every time you want to display, after one operation you want to display the same menu, right? And there is one option exit. So if user select the exit option, then and then this execution should be stopped, right? So in that case this kind of while is generally used, like in a file handling programs or in a structure union programs, right? In that case, even in array program also we can write this kind of while loop. So this is the third method where we can write the while like infinite. So I hope friends all of you understood this the concept of while loop, and in the next video we will discuss the third type of loop in programming C, that is do while loop. So friends, I have also mentioned the other theory and practical video links in the description part of this video, and so please friends share these video links to your friends so they can also get the benefits. And I request to all of you, kindly give your feedbacks and suggestion in the comment of this video, and if you want any specific videos then also you can mention in the comments, and I'm very thanks to you, and if you want to get the updates of upcoming videos, then please subscribe this channel. So thank you friends, thank you very much.